good afternoon and welcome to our panel discussion with the cast and crew of MTV's Beautiful Something Left Behind. I'm Nathan Marshall, and I'm joined today by my Highmark Caring Place colleagues, Kevin Sunderman and Sheena Shannon. And with us from the film Beautiful Something Left Behind is director Katrine Philp, producer Katrine Sahlstrøm, and some of the cast from the film, Emily Kapferer, and her children, Nora and Nolan Wood. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. Now, Beautiful Something Left Behind is currently streaming on Paramount Plus. So if you want to check it out, go check it out now. You can do that just signing up by Paramount Plus. It's awesome. But for those who have not seen the film, we wanted to give you a little teaser today. And so we're going to start this interview out by watching the trailer of the film now.
If someday you're lonely, just lift up your face, feel the wind in your hair. That's me, my sweet baby. My love is right there.
Mommy gave this to you.
Yeah, my mom.
Why do we come to Good Grief? Because everybody in this group has had someone die in their family.
My name is Pierre. My dad and mom died.
What does the word grief mean?
Remembering a person, longing to be with them again.
Do you feel like it's a hassle that you've got to deal with this?
Sometimes.
You just want to be a kid and go on.
How old is he?
When he died?
Yeah.
53.
Well, that's really old. When my dad died, I felt blue and red. That's mad and sad. That's what it feels.
There you go. What do you think about having a place to go and see Daddy and Grandma's ashes?
I don't know where I'd put them.
Where?
Las Vegas. The nurse came in and said, "I'm so sorry, he's gone." I burst into tears again. But be careful. Can I tell you something, Ted? I miss Mommy.
They still watch you, and they still see you.
We all know that grief happens in waves. Sometimes you're up.
Yay!
Sometimes you're down.
Do you want to talk about George?
When the shoreline recedes, you are that beautiful something that your person left behind.
Well, I was wondering if, for any of you guys, if there's anything that you think that you wanted to say about the film that wasn't necessarily reflected in that particular trailer. Anything else people who haven't seen the movie yet should know as we go ahead and discuss it?
Well, I can start. So the film looks at grief from a child's perspective, and we filmed at a place called Good Grief in New Jersey, and we also filmed in the homes of 6 children in the families who all lost a parent. And at Good Grief, the children are, and also the adults actually, are attending these group meetings where they are able to process their grief through talking about it and especially also through playing. So, and that was what we thought was very, very interesting at this place, because Good Grief looks at grief in a very holistic way, I think. We filmed there for a year, and the film is, I think we wanted to capture we wanted to capture how, you know, the children's wisdom and how they experience grief from their perspective, and not having a lot of experts telling us the different stages of grief and what they were going through of emotions. We just wanted to be there and to explore the life at Good Grief, and that's what we did. So that's what the film is about.
Well, thanks. That really puts in a lot more details about what the film is about. Anyone else want to say anything about that?
Something that I was kind of surprised at in watching the trailer and in watching the movie again is like paying attention to the little things that they were able to capture. You know, there was one point in that trailer where if you're not listening, you won't catch one of the little boys saying, "Do you want to talk about it?" to his friend. And that's throughout the whole movie, is the little, and I think that's, you know, Katrine was able to capture that wisdom of little kids and their simplistic, like, do you want to talk about it? Like, it's okay to talk about it. We can do this. Or, you know, 53 is really old, you know, that kind of thing. And I'm going, okay, I'm 40. I feel like that's really old, but it's in the perspective of the children. And that's what I really appreciated from this film, was that it wasn't about all the specialists and the doctors saying, well, this is the stage and this is what you're supposed to be doing at this point. And okay, your dad's been gone for 6 months. You should be this far along down the road. It was, this is just our life now, and we have to learn to live with it. And not that it ever heals completely, but it does get better. You know, we were trying to prepare for, you know, what kind of thing we would say. And, you know, we're 5 years in, and it's still as hard as it was the day we lost him. So, but it's in waves again. It's in waves. There's also moments that they can laugh and we can joke with the dogs, and that's okay. But I think this is showing that, like, it's not a scheduled healing process. It's how kids, how they live their, like, they're growing up now, they're just living. And that it's okay to live after death. It's okay. I think that was a big thing for Nora, really struggled with. If I smile, then that means I don't miss my dad. Well, that's not true. You know, you can smile. Your dad wants you to smile. You should be smiling, because if he was here, you would be smiling. And, you know, to hear the laughter of the kids in this film is, I think, healing.
Yeah.
And even if people can just see, like, it's okay to laugh. It's okay to be okay. And it's okay to not be okay. That either way, like, that's okay, because we can talk about it. It's to not make it a taboo subject. I mean, it's very uncomfortable. You talk about death and people are like, oh, I don't know if I really want to go there. And we've got to normalize it, because this is their life. They lost their dad. Like, that's our reality. So I don't want people to be scared to, you know, to say something that we know that he's gone. So let's talk about it, and let's not forget him. And it's important to laugh and to smile again. And it's okay to cry again. You know?
Well, I have one question for Nolan there. Did you ever get to Las Vegas yet?
Fortunately.
What in the world, man? We got to get you there, buddy.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the beautiful parts that you can't get from the trailer, is just how, you know, Katrine, both of you all took and just made these, they were like elongated clips, you know, where it was like so much time would spend, like in America, we'd be cutting it. Oh, it's just uncomfortably long, but you made it uncomfortably long. I felt like, from my opinion, you guys can speak on this more than I can, but like, just to take in the whole moment, and you got so many pure moments from that, and you were able to take in the silence. But like you said, Emily, you're able to hear like the laughter and things like that, which was really good. So can you speak on like that, why you edited it like that, like with the longer clips?
Yeah, I talked to my editor, who I always work with, and she and we talked about, this is a film that is made not up here, it's made here and here. So every time we worked with the film, it was very important that it was something that we could feel all the time. So actually, it's always very complex to edit. You have 100 hours of footage, right? And you need to get it down to 1.5 hours, and there's so much great footage. But it was actually pretty easy to do this film, to edit this film, and I've never tried that before, I think, with the film, because it was just edited with our gut feelings, or just like humans and emotions, and and also, well, a mother in the film said at some point that the grief is like waves, and you said it too, Emily. And sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, and we felt like actually editing the film, it was like waves. So we didn't want any closure to it. We didn't want, because that's not how grief is. There's no closure. It will just like continue. It will change forms probably for most people, but it will always be that, and it should never go away. It's love, right? It's part of you. So, and we wanted to edit the film like that.
It works.
Also.
Sheena, you had a question?
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Sheena. Children's Grief Awareness Day is all about raising awareness of the grief of children. And that's also exactly what this movie does. And I wonder, what gave you the idea to make a movie like Beautiful Something Left Behind?
Yeah, well, I mean, actually it was mostly Katrine's own experience that I think it ignited the idea. Personal experience where she was close to some children who were really close to losing a loved one, and the bewilderment she felt at that point, not really knowing how to talk with the children about grief. So it was sort of a subject that we were both interested in, this specific combination of children and grief. And we did research, of course, here in Denmark, but also started looking at how you deal with grief in other countries. And Katrine had done another film in the United States a year before, so we naturally looked at the United States as well. And then we found out that you tend to do those grief support groups in another way than what we do in Denmark. In Denmark, we of course also have groups like this, but it's mostly about talking with each other, even when the children are quite small. Of course, sometimes they will do drawings, but it's not like, for example, at Good Grief, where they have those different rooms. And that was really inspiring to us. We felt that it was a natural, good idea to let children play and not to have them sit down in those specific 2 hours they were there and just to talk, and especially for very young children. And then, of course, it was also perfect for a film because it's much more cinematic, that you can actually see the children do something instead of just talking. And furthermore, we also had the experience that it's easier to get close to American people than Danish people. We tend to be much more afraid in Denmark, the camera, and not so easily open. So there were many reasons why, and we did look many places, but this was when we found Good Grief, and when we spoke with the CEO, Joe Primo there, it was evident that could just be the perfect place to do this film.
The title of the movie is truly beautiful. I mean, it's just a beautiful sentiment. Talk about the scene that inspired the movie, the title, and why this title.
It is actually a quote from a scene in the film. A mother who says this. She talks about grief as waves, and she finishes this by saying that when the shoreline recedes, you have those beautiful something left behind. And I think, we also like it because it's poetic. It's, as you say, beautiful. It's not sad, but you can interpret it in different ways. And I mean, at least to me, it's sort of dual. It can both be the beautiful something left behind, can be the memories that you keep from the loved one you lost. But it can also be interpreted like the deceased person has left something behind. For example, the children that he put into this world, and those are the beautiful ones that are left behind. But probably other people will interpret it some other way, but that's the ways I like to think of it.
I like to say that they are the best part of Cody. If he had to leave anything, like, they are the best part of him. And they are him. I mean, Nolan, a spitting image, especially when he's mad. I'm like, oh my God, Father. But they are the best part of him. All the good parts of him, he left here.
Yeah. Exactly.
That truly is beautiful. That is definitely beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it.
And Emily, talking about things like that and hard things in general, it is hard. What gave you the motivation to talk about things like that on camera? I know you talked about the trust that's already there.
Yeah. So I think I've been aware of mental health and the importance of it. I've struggled with anxiety in my past, and Nora had some issues before Cody passed away, and so I knew that this could kind of be a make or a break moment in a kid's life. And if we don't talk about it, then it's not, then Cody's life would be in vain, I feel like, to some extent. Like, we have to talk about it because he was a person, he was their dad, he loved them more than anything in this entire world. And they needed to talk about him and be able to talk about how they felt. And I knew that was important. And I think Good Grief gave us that, like, acceptance and that open door to talk about it, that it was okay. I mean, I remember the first day we were there, Nora came running up to me and all I could do was cry our first day, but she goes, Mom, there's another girl who's, her dad died too. Mm-hmm. And so she felt a connection. There was someone else there that was going through the same, and she was excited about it, and not, in a good way, because that this is our life now. Mm-hmm. They don't have a dad, and that we learn to deal with it. And I just felt like if we could do anything for Good Grief to repay them for giving us that hall pass to talk about it and to keep him in our minds and to focus on our mental health, then we'll do anything we can for Good Grief. So
you already mentioned that grief really doesn't end. So it's not like, as we're so fond of saying in this country, there's no closure.
Yeah.
But when you look back over the 5 years and where you are now, how would you say that your experience with Good Grief and maybe even in making the movie, how are things different than it would have been if you had never been part of it?
I can't see our life without Good Grief. It is different than when we first started going. The waves were much more frequent. The tides would come in a lot quicker than they do now. But I feel like since the beginning, we are able to talk about what's going on. We're trying to make it less of a taboo subject, and it's uncomfortable for people to talk about, but that's our life. And we want to normalize it for kids that are going to come I mean, I think Nora and Nolan are proud of being able to laugh and showing that it's okay. I mean, my best friend from high school, her husband died last summer, and they are up in the Princeton area, and they were able to start at the Good Grief in Princeton, Morristown. And we call it our tribe, has gotten closer because we've both experienced this horrible tragedy. And Nora's been able to help Marcella and Valentina in a way that not many other people can. But it's because we talk about it, because we make it a subject. We don't just look past it and say, well, he died, you know, we go on. Like we have to talk about it because it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to sit in us and it's going to fester however we nurture it, you know, like if we water it and we make it a thing that we can grow from, and we can acknowledge him and see like, this is where our roots came from and this is who we are, but not defined by, you know, I'm the girl that doesn't have a dad, or I'm the boy in school whose dad died. This is our life now. And if they want to talk about it at school, I know Nolan doesn't talk about it a lot with his friends, and that's okay. Nora is much more vocal, and that's okay. It's just having that door open, that if you want to talk about it, like there are so many people that can talk about it with.
Nora, one of the things that struck me in the film was that you like to write things down and then share them with people. Do you still do that to this day? And how does writing help you if you still do it?
Yeah, I do it.
That's great. Mm-hmm. Does it help you a lot, you think?
Yeah.
You definitely have some beautiful writings in the film for sure. That was very
Thank you.
The one moment where Christmas really struck me when you all were sharing Christmas there, and just like, and she was sitting there, you know, had this new notebook and she's writing it, just, and the smoke alarms going off, and just this normal chaotic life that we live. But
yeah, that's our story of our life.
No, never a dull moment. We can't say we live a boring.
It made you appreciate those crazy times, and you know, in your own life, and you go, oh, everything's gone crazy, but you go, that's what makes a family. That's what makes, you know, you look back and like, you know, on the film, I'm sure, and you can laugh at that moment, like, oh, stupid smoke alarm. But I think everybody was relating to that, like said, oh yeah, I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying what you did, because so many people just want to push us past the grief. How many times do we get the question, aren't you over this by now?
Yeah.
Or in some other way, make it done with. Yeah. That's just not reality.
So we've done Good Grief. We just stopped it this year. We haven't gone, but I mean, I even had family members say, oh, you're doing Good Grief again?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you can bring their dad back, then we'll, and they don't feel the need to go, then we'll stop going. But it's not like, oh, well, he's been gone 2 years, he should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as long as we need to talk, and that's what's so great about Good Grief, there's no time limit. It's not like, oh, we're here for the first year of your journey. It's, I mean, I had a gentleman in my group whose wife had been gone for 9 years.
Yeah.
The kids still wanted to go, and Good Grief still welcomed them, which I think is important. And it's not like, oh, you have to go right like 6 months after the person you love dies. It could be 3 years down the road when you acknowledge, like, oh, I think we need to talk about this, or I think this is probably, you know, a little more than I can handle at home. So let's see what other options are there. Like, they're so welcoming. Like, come on in. Like, it doesn't matter how long they've been gone. Like, you are dealing with grief. Like, we are here to help you. We will do whatever we can to help you, which I think is really, and, you know, they even said to us, well, if you decide down the road that you want to come back, let us know. And to have that is really wonderful.
Thinking about how opening up about grief can help the families and kind of bring to light what usually we want to keep in the darkness. What do you think about your role in kind of opening up this, what's usually hidden?
A lot of people have told me that it was like, when seeing the film, it was like a cathartic journey, like a healing journey. And that's made me so happy, because that's what I wanted. But I also wanted to help people that are close to people that have lost. And I think one of the worst things when my dad died, he actually died during the production of the film, was the silence of people not knowing what to say to you. Of course, a lot of people were so caring, and it was amazing and great, and they were wonderful. But some people didn't really know what to say, or was afraid of talking to you, or just trying to avoid maybe talking to you or talking about my dad. And so I can only imagine how it must feel for a child having these experiences too, maybe at school or somewhere, or like also closer relations maybe. So I really wanted this film also for, in the hopes that people would be braver to when they encounter people who have lost. So it's both it's a film for everyone, I think. But it's just, again, very important that we start talking about it. Start talking about the people we have lost, and talking about our emotions and our feelings and what we are going through, and also ask questions. But it's also important for me to say that this is a film that gives a lot of hope, and it's a film that celebrates life and childhood and all the magical moments we have in life, and that we need to be there for each other and to care and to be there for each other.
That's one of the things I really appreciate about the film, is because we all go through death. No one talks about it. It's just like this big elephant in the room always. And then when they do want to approach it, it's like you said, it's very short. But that's one of the things I loved about the film, was you told the story, but you focused on the hope of living and why do we keep living. And I think that's what's beautiful about the film. All the little moments you picked them specifically to show, hey, life is hard, but having people together, supporting each other and hoping was just gorgeous. I really love that.
Yeah, as you say, celebrating life.
Yeah, celebrating life. Yeah.
So, and that's not just for the film. For Cody's birthday, every year we celebrate the anniversaries. We want to recognize him. I try to celebrate his birthday more. Like, the kids stay home from school. We do everything that they used to do with Dad on what Daddy liked to do with them. And we if they're feeling bad, we'll light a lantern, or we'll get a balloon and we'll let it go. For the anniversary of his death, we talk about it, and it's not just for the film, just to get that good picture. That's something that we do all the time. The Lantern Festival, the Lights Fest is really, that was, and we still do that every year. We make that. Here's Gladys. Something that's important for us, that we keep doing it, and we will do it every year as long as they want to do it. Yeah. As long as they like to do it, as long as they want to do it, then whatever we have to do to keep his memory alive and to acknowledge him, and in some ways, pay homage, thank you for being alive, because if he wasn't alive, then they wouldn't be.
Yeah.
And he gave them life to live it, not to, sit and cry all the time. although it happens.
Right. Yeah, the important word there was all the time.
Yeah.
Cry sometimes, laugh sometimes.
I had a question for Katrine and Katrine. I've heard Emily talk about how she was changed by this experience. I was wondering, for you, Katrine and Katrine, how have you been changed by the experiences if you've had with these families and the filming of this movie?
Wow. It has been
That's a big question.
Yeah, and it has been such a journey for me personally and for my family. We talk about it all the time. We talk about all the families. We talk about Emily and Nora, Nolan, and all the other families in the film. All the close relationships that we have, all the friends that we have gotten. And but I also experienced, while making this film, I experienced my own grief because I lost my dad. So feeling both welcomed as a filmmaker, but also that Good Grief and the families welcomed us as a family was very, very a big experience for us and a very important period in our lives because I was very close to my dad and feel the compassion and I was also joining the groups sometimes just in the beginning where we stand together and hold each other's hands. So I think it is, a very important film for me. And I really hope that it will do something good for people because that's what I wanted with this film. And I think it's such an important topic and to shed a light on. And I'm just very grateful for the friends and for the community and for the organization and everything and for the experience. So it definitely changed a lot in me.
Well, I have a question for Emily, Nora, Nolan. Was it the first time you shared the story of your father's passing? That was an interesting thing. And just talk about like the bravery it took to like share that on camera.
It's funny because he's pretending he's shy right now. Like, I'm in my head, I'm going, who is this kid? Who is this kid? There was a time where Catherine said I could show them what they like, show pieces of what I'm filming. She said, but I don't want to do that because I don't want them to feel self-conscious. Like I feel like once you see, I mean, of course, all people can pick themselves apart in all different, but she was very conscious of, like feeling my feedback of like, what do you think? Like I could show them because there were times that they were like, oh, we're cool. Look at us, we're at the tree farm and we've got a camera. I mean, they had come to Nora's to school at one point and
that was very
they were nervous. They were very nervous about what people are going to say and there's a film crew and there's this and that and I think they were nervous, but they were also like, no one's like, Google me. Look at me. Look at Nolan Wood, beautiful something left behind. That's me on the cover. Don't let this quiet fool you.
What was reaction you've had from friends and family that at school or anything else? Nora and Nolan, you have good reactions or?
When he first passed away, and I finally brought up something about my dad passing away, people were like, sorry for your loss. That didn't really help because what would that do? But then when I stopped fighting about it, it made me feel better about it because people care. And people say, I went through it, so we finally had that connection. So that made me feel better. And when I went to Good Grief and I met that girl that had the same thing that I was going through, I felt whole again. And that made me feel much better.
When Cody first died, Nora, and we would go anywhere, Nora would say to like the cashier at the pharmacy, my dad died. And, you know, we saw some, like we would go to the gym, my dad died. And people were like, you know, what do I say to that? And in talking with my therapist and watching her, because I didn't want her to stop saying that, because that is her truth. And all really what it took was someone else. I don't remember where it was. I want to say it was like we were going to the movies or something. And she said, my dad died. And the cashier said, mine did too. Mm. And after that slowed down. It was someone else saying, oh, really? That's okay. To not be shocked, to not be like, oh God, and just say that, you know, that ritual, I'm sorry for your loss. That's what you say. But to say, oh, mine did too. It was that connection. It's that making, like this film is making it not such a shocker.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, let's talk about it. If one of my friends dies, you know, has someone that has lost someone, like I try to check in on how I would want to be checking in. Like, how is today? Like, what's happening today? And that's because we talk about it.
That's what I usually do with Marcella and Valentina when they are by themselves and like not talking to anybody. So I'll like go over there, say what's wrong, and like if they don't want to talk about their dad or anything, I'll talk about what their favorite animal is and what their favorite animal is and what do they want to play to like get them distracted and do something that they love.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, talk about the wisdom of the children.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Pretty incredible, these kids, all of them.
Yes.
Final question for Emily and Nora and Nolan. Anything else about the experience of making the movie or seeing the movie when it was done that you'd like to share with us?
So when it first came out, Mom she watched it first. And she didn't let us watch it for, I don't know, when it, like a couple of months after it was produced and like it was out. And I really wanted to see it because during the production of it, we didn't really take the time of like talking about it. We did like fun stuff, like going to the woods. Nolan, when he was frustrated, we used a fallen branch and we hit a tree. And people were asking, why do you have a film crew with you? And we're like, we're making a documentary about grief. And we thought it was very important for people to know what grief is. And if people are going through it, it's a good documentary to watch.
How this film was made, I never, in my wildest dreams, I mean, I never thought we would ever be in a film or be a part of anything. And that we never expected it to be this big or to have this sort of effect. We just knew that, just felt a pull that this is something that we should do, that we were helped. So really anything that we could do for Good Grief to give back. And that's just letting this incredible family come in and film our lives. Really, it's in the end, it was a no-brainer.
Would do it all over again if we had a chance to.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's what the something beautiful is that it's also about sharing your story and knowing that through that you're helping others. Like the beautiful part is that, you know, even though this was so hard and you had to share it, but it will continually help other people. That's the beautiful part of it. Your story will continue to help more kids and families like you who will have similar experiences. And that's really beautiful.
And that's enough. That's enough for us to have done it. You know, there is beautiful that comes out of tragedy. And, you know, we would give back everything to get Cody back, but that's not real. So we have to embrace this new family that we have, that we get these new from Good Grief and from Denmark. Like we gained a lot, and that's from talking about it and not making it too scary to talk about, or, you know, you have to put yourself out there. And if we've helped anyone, I think we would all be really proud of ourselves and grateful that we were able to do this.
Well, that leads us to the final question I have for all of you, I guess. You know, what would you like people to know about life after someone special has died? Just to kind of sum it all up.
It's been eventful, but also it made me grow as a person, of like being stronger than I didn't know that I would ever be. Because when my dad was alive, I thought I was like already strong, but when he passed away, after I talked to people and connected with people that have had the similarities that I have been through, I've grown and become stronger to talk about it and to help people who have done the same, that have gone through the same thing. And I felt like I become wiser and stronger to talk about it.
I know that's the truth. I've been blown away at the strength of my kids. That, you know, I say sometimes, like, thank God I have them, because I have no other option than to keep going on, because I have little kids that are depending on me. And thank God for that, because who knows, you know, if it was left just to me. But these kids, how they can live their lives going through. I lost my dad last year, and it was really hard. And
it was hard for all of us in our family. Ew, that's nasty.
The dog is drinking their drink. See, it's like never dull. Break it up. Let's break it up. Let's laugh. Here's doing something. I think that's too. We've also learned to laugh. We have to laugh through life, and we have to find the good things that have happened. I mean, you can so easily look at, yeah, this sucks. I don't have a dad, and I don't have this, and I don't have that. But we have 3 crazy dogs. We have a whole lot of fun. You know, we eat. We set off fire alarms. It's crazy. But that we can, our lives will never be the same, but they're not so bad. And we know that on the other side of this journey, like, we'll see them again. So we want to talk about them and keep them alive through talking about them and keeping their memory. And you know, when he looks like his father, I'll say to him, "Oh my God, you look like your dad right now." But
I was, at first, when my hair turned more like my dad, I felt happy about it, because Mom said, "Wow, what am I gonna do with this hair?" Because she has straight hair, and I have wavy hair, and she doesn't know how to like take care of it. But now I feel more connected with him before he like passed away. So it's been fun.
So is there anything else any of you all like to add that we haven't covered yet as just a final thing? Anything that we didn't cover here today that you would like to to tell the world?
Nolan? I don't have anything to add.
If you have any plane tickets to Las Vegas, send them to Nolan Wood.
Yes, to Nolan.
Yes. Let me come. No. Yes.
And,
It's 2 years. I want to go to Bora Bora.
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
I just want to say thank you, and I want to like hug you guys because we haven't seen each other for 2 years.
I want to hug you because it's been so long. We've been talking about you for like a long time, and we're excited to come to Denmark one day because like I talked to my friends that maybe in high school I'm not going to be there because I'm going to go to Denmark. See you later.
Well, thank you again, Katrine, Emily, Nora, and Nolan for your time today and for making really such a powerful film. It really is such a beautiful film. And again, if you have not checked it out yet, please check out Beautiful Something Left Behind, currently streaming on Paramount Plus. And from all of us, thank you for observing Children's Grief Awareness Day today and for supporting grieving children and families all over the world. Thank you so much.